If you don't deal with your childhood trauma, if you never got a chance to deal with your childhood trauma and you're an adult, it'll manifest in a negative way through alcohol, overeating, uh, if you're a male, doing everything you can to have sex to offset your pain. And the same thing if you're a female, but I can only understand certain things as a male, but obviously women also, that can happen. If you don't deal with your childhood trauma, it'll manifest through depression, sadness, you know, over not just overeating, but also overweight. Um, I struggled with that for a long time. As a kid, when things were really bad, I overate. And then in my family, you know, making sure you finish everything on that plate was extremely important, right? Because we didn't want to waste no. They didn't want to wait. They didn't want us as kids to waste no food, right? Because food is hard to come by. And when you're a kid, you don't fix your own plate, right? A lot of times, your parents fix your plate. And in my household, when I was a kid, my parents was like, "You better eat all that food on there." You know, there's starving kids all over the world. Of course, they say there's starving kids in Africa, but there were starving kids everywhere, right? Even in the United States, not just in third world countries. Um, Again, if you don't deal with your trauma will deal with you. And only you guys know what kind of trauma y'all done been through. It could be childhood abuse. It could be sexual abuse when you were a kid. It could be when you were abandoned. Um, you were left alone, or one parent abandoned you, or the other parent, or both. You know, some of these adults grow up, and when they were a kid, they were in a foster home. They were neglected, or the mom or dad or both was on drugs, and so they had to fend for themselves, so to speak. Um, Obviously, dealing with your trauma, could be going through therapy, and therapy comes in different forms. It's not just one-on-one therapy with a therapist, right, or a counselor. It Like therapy for me is exercising. Some cardio each day, every day actually, and hitting the weights. Playing some sports, a little basketball here and there. Um, Meditation, that's a big one. Um, just sitting in silence, like not doing nothing, not on your phone, not scrolling through your phone, constantly watching TV. Right? Sometimes it's a beautiful thing to just sit quiet, right? And you don't have to necessarily sit in a lotus position, and hum and all that. Just sit and be quiet. Just enjoy the quietness, or put on some motiv not motivational music. You could do that too, but put on some classical music, put on some jazz, something that's gonna put you in like a zen state where you just right. And that's another thing I heard we as Westerners, we don't know how to breathe, right? Sometimes when we get overwhelmed, we need to get ourselves centered and just do that a few times. And from what I understand, it also brings more oxygen to the brain, which causes you to relax. Everything's going to be okay. Relax. I've also learned that I do what I can to change what I can, and the things that I cannot change, I let it go. I let God handle it. I pray on it, and then I just let it go. I let it go because At the end of the day, I really believe our number one duty for our own person is not only to survive, but to have a peace of mind while we're surviving and thriving. That's the main thing. We ain't just trying to survive. We are thriving. We're evolving. So, this is Mike Chevalier. I'm always keep it simple and precise.